Hey folks, Keith McGowan here. I am the Outboard Dad, here to help you have a better boating experience. Today we're going to continue on. We're going to put the finishing touches on this. A couple of electronic items. We got our primer solenoid. We have our fuel pump. It is a VRO fuel pump, but we are going to be blocking off the oil injection side. Nothing wrong with using the fuel pump on it by itself. Plus it mounts there nicer. I'm not getting into changing out the fuel pumps to the older style. So this will work fine. We're going to get our linkage set up for our throttle, make sure our shifter linkage is in the right orientation because we probably moved it around when we were assembling and disassembling. Don't forget my used outboard motor buying guides for sale on Amazon for $20. Right now I'm offering for a limited time a half-an-hour session over the phone for free if you send me an email at keith@outboarddad.com, and with proof of purchase, then I can go ahead and give you a free half-hour session. It's a $250 value to help you with a motor you're looking to buy or a boat you're looking to buy. Keep in mind, and I wanted to say this as I get started today, I appreciate all the feedback and the comments and the direction that I've been able to take this channel from those comments from all of you out there. I love to hear more and more of what your needs are, what you're working on. I had a gentleman that sent me a comment today, and it just warms my heart. It gave me the purpose again, reminded me of the purpose of why I do this. He was working on a rebuild for his motor and did not understand that blind hole cylinder, and he knew what to look for to make sure his motor got done right, and he's just so excited to get that out there on the water. The goal here with all of the work that you see me do, I enjoy mechanical things, I enjoy rebuilding things, there's nothing like turning the key and having something start, but the goal here is to have valuable time out on the water with family and friends. Because when your motor breaks down or you have problems with your boat or you start taking on water or you forgot to put the plug in, it can ruin a day really, really fast. And everybody will tell you, your family and friends, don't worry about it, it's okay, everything, but you feel like crap when that happens. So I'm putting together a program that's going to help you with a list of things. My father and I did this for years. You know, you're supposed to tell someone where you're going when you go out on the water, who's on land, so that if you're not back in a certain time, they can call somebody and say, hey, this is where he was going today. This is where they were going to fish, to ski, to do whatever it is that you're planning to do. This way, if something happens, it's a safety feature. And don't forget, I don't know if you've heard me say this before, whenever I came back in, did a lot of fishing with friends, probably more than anything, off the coast of New Jersey here, sometimes out in the ocean, sometimes Raritan Bay, sometimes all the way over to New York Harbor for stripers. Don't really eat that fish when we catch those, but my father would always say to me, hey, how'd the boat run? He never asked, what did we catch, how do we do? We might have talked about that here and there. I'm not a big fisherman. I enjoy fishing too, but I love boating, and I love having a good boating experience. So I loved driving the boat while my friends are back there fishing. I remember having a strong current going down the river. I remember pointing my boat in the current so that I could keep it straight, and the guys were fishing off the back of the boat because their lines were going out and underneath this bridge where a friend of mine believed there were stripers, and I think they caught a couple stripers that day too. I don't really remember because I was just focusing on keeping the boat straight, keeping everybody safe, and also helping everybody have a good time. That's what we're all about here at the Outboard Dad channel. So let's get into this. I'll get off my soapbox for a minute, and we're going to start hooking up some stuff. I'm probably going to talk a little bit as I do this, but we're going to get into this and just start putting parts back on. If you have any questions, please send me comments. Let me know if there's something you missed that I can show you. And meanwhile, I'm just going to get to work and start putting this back together. Okay, so after checking my videos, this is where this goes. So we're going to take that bolt out. I remember seeing this outwards like this, so I think it goes right here. Okay, so we got this mounted. I checked the pictures from the video. I took a couple snapshots from my video. So now we're going to go ahead and we have our VRO pump here. So we're going to mount this in place, and then we're going to look at our hose connections. So down the bottom here, we have one that goes to the block, right? So we have these here that get connected, and it senses a pulse from the engine as it goes back and forth. So we want to make sure we connect these up. There's a nice little clamp already on here, which is cool, so I can just squeeze that and push it on. All right, so this gets connected for our fuel. Our fuel comes through here, and then it comes out here and goes to our fuel rails. So we're gonna hook that up next. So I think we're ready for a couple of linkage pieces here. We have a little baggie with some linkage bolts. And then we have this here, which is 2 screws go on this, and that holds all this wiring. I'm gonna put that aside with its cover because we're probably going to leave that disconnected so that we have it open and free while we're mounting. Just keeps it neater. But first, I'm going to go ahead and route my primer hoses. So I just went back and reviewed my videos just to make sure I'm putting everything in the right place. So if you remember, we had our bleed lines. They come off my bleed lines. They're not bleed lines. These are the primer lines that come off the bottom of the primer. They snake up here behind the starter motor and the fuel pump. And then there's a T. Remember, we flushed those out with some brake cleaner to make sure that it was clear. And there's little brass nubs on the backs of each one of these that inject fuel when you hit your primer, right? That purple wire with the white stripe that we plugged in for our primer. We want to make sure that that's all connected properly. And if you remember, when we took this fuel line off, it wasn't really very tight, so we put a new clamp on there. And that connects directly to our fuel line, so it has nice pressure. When we turn that key and push the key in, it squirts a little fuel in there as a primer to get us going. There's another one here that gets connected to our air box down below, and then there's another one that gets snaked down. There's another brass fitting, barb fitting down the bottom here. Again, that's why we keep videos and pictures of things, so we make sure they get connected properly. This also snakes down behind our starter motor and goes through and gets hooked up on that fitting. Now we can put a little tie strap on it. Probably not necessary. It didn't have one on it to begin with. It's a vent line that goes onto our air box as well. So let's see. Looks like we got all of that hooked up well. As I said, were my wire holders. This is going to hold our ignition and everything. We also have this wire for our VRO pump we're going to leave disconnected because we're not concerned about pulsing that. And we will also disconnect the oil side of it, right? So that would need to be plugged off. So there's 2 here. We're going to use obviously the fuel line side, but the other one we're going to put a hose on and we'll go ahead and plug that off. So let's get our linkage together. I'll spin the motor a little bit more so we can see a little more. And I have some little bag of bolts here that we're going to use. I have one more hose that was in my box that goes to our pisser tube. So we're going to leave that behind the motor here because that'll be hooked up later on. So you want to take a close look. Remember how everything went. That's why videos are great, pictures are great. But you still want to take a close look. I know on the other side, where my linkage is, I can see my bleed lines a lot better. They're not covered up by all the electronics and the starter motor and everything. So I'm going to make sure I put tie straps on those bleed lines because they have to stay nice and tight. Remember, compression back and forth, so we don't want them to pop off and start sucking air into our cylinders. So we're pretty much set with all of our lines now. We know that's where they need to be. So we're just going to spin the motor a little bit. We'll do a little bit of linkage up here just to make sure everything is tight and working back and forth. And then we'll get into those carburetors in our next episode. So please like, subscribe, send me any comments that you have. And this motor, maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, we'll be firing it up. Oh, we still got that broken bolt to contend with. We got to do a little bit more drilling on that and a little more heat and beat the snot out of it, and we'll get that out of there. So please like, subscribe, send me any comments that you have. Let me know your thoughts and what you're working on so I can help you have a better boating experience. Have a good day.